My name is Rhonda Lovin. If I could start anywhere, I would say that for a very long time, although I didn't come to Christ right away in life, I always felt a sense of emptiness. I always felt a longing for something else, for completeness, for fulfillment. And I can remember that even as a young child. For many, many years, I tried to fill up that void and fill that emptiness with other things, with people. What's interesting about that is on the outside, you would never have known that because I've always been the one to put on the smile. I've always been the one that just talks and laughs and has a great time and things are wonderful. But on the inside, I was absolutely miserable and I was crying out inside, "Help me." On October the 18th of 1998, I walked into Dogwood Baptist Church in Roland, North Carolina to a revival service. And when I walked in the door and sat down, I started to cry before a song was ever sung, before anybody ever got into the pulpit to preach the message. I began to cry, and I cried that entire service. And so after the service was over, it was homecoming. We were going to the back to have lunch, and the associate pastor approached us and said, "I don't know who you are, but I could not keep my eyes off of you this entire service. And what I want to know is if you died today, would you go to heaven?" And I immediately hit my knees because I knew that I did not know that. And we began to pray and to cry out to God. And right there on that floor, after the service, is when I truly gave my life to Christ. And one of the toughest things in the beginning of my walk with Christ, even though he was showing me all of this great stuff, I mean, it was just amazing the way he was opening my eyes and opening the doors and giving me opportunity. I immediately wanted to serve. I wanted to tithe. I wanted to get into the Bible. I was asking questions. You know, I was just excited. I was on fire. But the enemy continually whispered in my ear, "How can you stand up there and say these things about God and try to minister to these people knowing what you've done?" Man, he used my past against me in a great way. The last 2 years of my life have been probably the hardest that I've ever lived. My parents were divorced when I was young. And I watched my mom struggle as a single parent. She was wonderful, but she struggled. And I remember saying, "I'm never going to do that. That's never going to be me." And that's me. It's not where I want to be, and it is not where I plan to be. And it was at that time that God brought some of the most wonderful people into my life. Greatest friends that I've ever known, who came to me and stood beside me, literally, prayed for me and supported me and said, giving up is not an option. It's not always been easy. Yes, there are difficulties that have come during this time, but I've never taken one step by myself. God has been right there with me, and he has given me everything I've needed, spiritually, emotionally, physically, materialistically. Everything that I've needed, my God has provided. And every single day, he continues to show me that his grace is sufficient, that when I am weak, he is strongest, but most of all, that he is everything that I need and that I will ever need. And I am so thankful that I don't have to search for that thing to fill up the emptiness or the longing inside anymore, because I found it on October the 18th, 1998, when I found Jesus. That is when I found completeness and wholeness and as long as I have breath in me, I will continue to tell people about him and his goodness. And even in the difficult times, I just pray that God gives me opportunity to minister to other people and show him that he is